you. Happy Monday. I have everybody muted at the moment, but if you have any questions, you can raise your hand. Zoom also has the ability for people to chat and ask questions in a little chat box if you're interested in typing me a question or sharing something that way. And I hope y'all had a good weekend. Good to see you. So today I decided I was out in my garden a lot yesterday and a lot this morning up until about half an hour ago. And I really wanted to talk about a really wonderful plant for people who are getting started gardening, who have never grown anything before. So today we're going to talk about the radish. So radishes are annual vegetables. Does everybody know what radishes are? Raise your hand, yes. Has everybody eaten radishes before? Give me a thumbs up if you've eaten radishes. Give me a thumbs down if you haven't eaten radishes. Okay. Give me, everybody, if you don't like radishes, shake your head. If you do like radishes, nod your head. Okay. All right, we have some people who like radishes. That's good. I really like radishes for a lot of reasons. And one of those reasons is that, like I said, they are a plant that I think are really good for people who have never grown anything before, but are interested in maybe starting their own garden. Maybe they're a little bit nervous about it. When I first started growing food, the first time I planted any seeds ever was about, I think, 11 years ago. And 11 years ago, the first seeds that I ever planted in the dirt, in the ground, were radish seeds. And they popped up very, very quickly. And that made me really happy because I wasn't sure if I would ever be able to grow anything. I was like, how long do I wait? What am I doing? And radish seeds are one of those things. They're one of these plants that give you like immediate feedback. They come out of the ground after like 4 days and they tell you right away. They're like, don't worry, like you did a good job. Everything's fine. We're going to give you food very soon. And they look like this. So when they first pop out of the ground after these might be like seedlings that are maybe 10 days old. And you can see these little leaves here that look like hearts are, they're their first leaves, right? And then these little guys that pop up here, and you can see these here too, are called their first true leaves. So those are the leaves that will eventually become full size. See, someone is in the chat. Those leaves look cool. You're right, they do. These are what most seedling leaves look like when they first pop out of the ground. And that's like the initial food that these plants require once they set out roots under the ground and they put out these leaves. It's like the first burst of energy, and they're like, okay, now here I am above the soil. I can make my own food through photosynthesis. I got this. And then when they get older, they keep growing, and their leaves, when they're fully grown, look like this. Well, they can look a whole bunch of different colors, but more or less full-grown radish leaves look like this. So you can see they look a little bit different. Does anybody want to, by raising their hand, tell me that, like, if they think they've seen leaves that look like this, maybe on another plant? Okay, I unmuted you. Your name says Sweetheart. I'm wondering what other things you've seen that look kind of like that.
I didn't raise my hand. I actually don't.
Oh, you don't know? Okay, sorry. I thought you raised your hand. Baron?
Yeah, well, spinach, stuff like that. Looks kind of like that.
Sure, spinach, yeah. Anybody else have a thought? I forget your name, but it says Sarah. What's your?
My name's Jaden.
Jaden, right. What do they look like to you?
Maybe lettuce, like a specific type of lettuce.
Sure, yeah, they look a little bit like lettuce. Oh yeah, what do you think?
Kale.
Yeah, cool, that's a good one. That's another one. So I think you're all right. I think that these leaves look a lot like the things that we're used to eating, like lettuces. I think they look a lot like kale too, specific kinds of kale. Adair, you have a question or you have an idea?
Chard.
Yeah. Yeah, Swiss chard, right? Chard, that's a good one. So you're all right. They look a lot like these leaves that we're used to seeing, a lot of times like these leaves that we're used to eating. I love kale. I love chard. I love spinach. I love all the lettuces. And a lot of people don't know, but you can also eat radish leaves. So as the radish, the root itself is growing underground and the leaves are popping out and making all of the energy so that the root can get bigger and bigger, you can harvest some of the leaves, not too many, but you can harvest some of the leaves even as the radish underground, the root is growing. And you can steam them like spinach or like kale. You can cook them like you would cook any greens, and they're kind of spicy. They're kind of spicy like radish roots are. When you bite into a fresh radish, usually they're like really spicy. Does anybody like that flavor, that spice? Anybody? Yeah. One of the things I like about radishes is that when you cut them, when you like bite into them right away, when they're super fresh, they're really spicy. But if you cut them and you let them kind of sit in the open air or like sit on your counter or just be in a salad or something, they actually will lose that spice. They'll become way more mild and they'll just have this like nice crispy crunch to them. But it's like a lot more sweet, a lot more mild. And I think that that's one of the cool things. You can like decide which way you want them to taste. Another thing that people don't know, that a lot of people don't know about radishes, is that if you harvest them at the right time, so most people will harvest radishes because they want to eat their roots. If you accidentally let some radishes stay in the ground for a long time, they will put out they'll put out flowers and then they'll put out seeds. Most of the time we harvest them before they get to the point where they flower, and some people call that bolting. And when a radish plant bolts, when it puts up its flower stalk and its seed stalk, a lot of times the root underground gets really hard and sometimes kind of bitter, and people use the word woody, so it gets like, it tastes almost like wood. It's like hard in your mouth, and most people don't want to eat them at that point. So if you accidentally let your radishes grow underground for too long, that doesn't mean that you've completely wasted your crop, right? You can actually eat the flowers, you can eat the leaves, and you can eat the seeds. Now, I think that's super cool. So this is, sometimes I plant way more radishes than I can eat, and then I get lazy and I don't harvest them all. But then I get excited because I can eat the seeds. And a lot of times the seed pods look like this when they're new, when they're like fresh. And can somebody tell me what they look like in this form? Liv.
Green beans.
Yeah, green beans.
And like peppers.
Yeah, a little bit like certain kinds of peppers, like chili peppers, right? Yeah, so that's like chili peppers and green beans are the fruits of those vegetables. And these radish seed pods are kind of like they're the fruit. Adair, what do you have?
Peas?
Yeah, they do. They look a lot like peas. Let's see, am I missing anyone? Cool. So these radish seed pods, they're spicy too. They're spicy just like the radish. The flowers, if you eat the flowers, they're a little bit spicy too. And these seed pods, and the leaves, like we mentioned that the leaves look kind of like kale, they look kind of like chard. The seed pods look, you might not know what mustard seed looks like, but you all have eaten mustard before, right? So mustard, the like yellow condiment that we put on like hamburgers and hot dogs and like stuff like that, it's made from the mustard seed. And the mustard plant is related to the radish plant. And they're all in the same family that kale is in, which is called the Brassica family, the Brassicaceae family. Yeah, Liv, you have a question?
I've seen mustard in the woods before. Someone pointed it out, and I was like, what? That's mustard?
Yeah, so mustard, some people call it garlic mustard. Wild mustard is what happens, the stuff that we see in the woods and that sometimes has completely taken over really large spaces that as weeds, are edible plants that are wild. They're not only wild mustards, but they are crosses, like 2 different varieties of plants from this Brassica family that the radish is in will cross pollinate, and they get this wild variety of like maybe kale and a mustard, or a broccoli and a cauliflower, or like all of these things that are very, very closely related will get cross-pollinated by bees, or some other pollinating insect, and then that seed gets scattered, and then they're like a hardier, stronger variety, something that can just kind of grow by itself. That's where garlic mustard comes from. And they are edible, but most of the time people think that they're really bitter or like too spicy or something like that, but they are really, they're pretty yummy, and you can cook them just like any other greens of that variety. Jaden, did you have a question?
Oh yeah, I was wondering, we have wild mustard seeds, and they're small. So there's like mustard toppings. Are those made by mustard seeds, though, or from the plant? Wow.
Yeah, they are. So I'm going to show you a picture of what radish seeds look like, and then maybe I can find a picture of what mustard seeds look like, and we can see one after the other how similar they look. So this is a picture of radish seeds, and they're pretty small. They're quite small. I think that mustard seeds mostly are a little bit smaller, but radish seeds, some people plant them the way that I'm talking about so that they can get these big roots. Other people do what's called, they sprout them. So radishes are really common sprouting seeds. And I'm going to show you what that looks like. And then we'll look up a picture of mustard seeds so you can see. Here's some radish sprouts. So this is essentially what radishes look like under the ground, with the little white thing there is a root, and the seed is like right here where my pointer is, and then the leaves are starting to pop out here, like the baby leaves like I showed you in the other picture. So does anybody know about sprouting? Or do your parents or anything ever sprout seeds at your houses? Yeah, so Jaden, yeah, it looks like you guys all are on the same page about that. So people who want to get like a really good, very quick sprout, they want to get some like really quick veggies and like really nice high quality nutrients, will sprout a bunch of seeds. And radishes are really common because they're spicy. They add a really nice spice to, you can put sprouts in salads, or you can put them on top of your sandwiches, or in your oatmeal, or in, some people put them in yogurt or things like that. You can kind of like eat them, or just like eat them as a snack, pop them in your mouth. Really, really good nutrients, and really fast, really easy to do. So it seems like most of you have an idea of what sprouts are like. It's pretty easy to do that. Something you can do if you don't have a garden is to sprout seeds that way, and you can learn about plants and have lots of really good fresh food through sprouting. I'm going to look up a picture of mustard seed just so we can see how similar they are to the radishes. And then it looks like we have a couple questions. So give me 1 second. So mustard seed. Sometimes it comes in various different colors, but this is one type of color. And you can see here how this mustard seed it's pretty small, but it looks a lot like the radish seeds. And it comes out of pods that look almost exactly the same as the radish, because they're related. They're in the same family. They're cousins. And this here inside this little spoon is powdered mustard. So they take the seeds and then they grind them in to make a really fine powder. And using that is how you can make mustard, the condiment, with some other ingredients. Mustard has a lot of vinegar in it too. And sometimes when you see like stone ground mustard, they call it, this has a lot more of the seeds. It's kind of like crunchy and spicy. So a lot of times that's what you're seeing. You're seeing just the straight up mustard seeds when you're eating that sort of mustard that has the little balls in it. Do we have any questions? Jaden, you have a question?
Yes, I think that those are very cute, and I noticed that somebody else had a question for a little bit. Kory?
Yeah.
I wanted to ask a question. Are these mustard seeds?
You gonna share your screen?
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotcha. Yeah, exactly. Those are mustard seeds. So sometimes I'm not sure. I've never actually made my own mustard, but oh yeah. Well, here you can see this is the seed.
These are the
And this is the powder, and then this is different kinds of what it looks like you can make with the mustard seed. So there's probably some sort of process that they go through to get the mustard to be this color. Like maybe, I don't know, maybe it's boiled or something before it's powdered into this form. Sometimes I've seen mustard seeds that are a lot darker than this, but it could just be a certain variety that looks like that. So, Liv, yeah, you have a question?
Do you think they add like turmeric to make it more yellow?
Sometimes, yeah, they might add a natural coloring like that. I'm not really sure what the ingredients are of your common mustards, but the yellow color is a natural color. But to get it more yellow or more orange, they might add other plant colorings. We could look up a how to make your own mustard recipe real quick.
Oh yeah.
And oops, I got into full screen. There we go. So how to make your own mustard. I've never done it before because usually when I grow mustard, I actually just eat the greens. I don't really think too much about the seeds because you need so many seeds to make mustard. It's really amazing how many seeds, how many plants you would need in order to make a lot of, make a jar of mustard. So let's see what the ingredients are of this recipe that I just pulled up. Okay, I'll share it with you. You can see what I'm looking at. So it looks like the ingredients are mustard seeds, mustard powder, which is just powdered mustard seeds. It says water or beer. You could make a like beer flavored mustard. That's something that they do that I've seen before. Vinegar, salt, turmeric. Good call, Liv. Honey to make it a little bit sweet, and then some other fresh herbs if you're interested in making it flavored with other plants. That's a pretty cool. I'm gonna put this link into our chat, and before I end our meeting, you can copy and paste. You can copy this link because it will go away, I think, once I end the meeting. Yeah, you got a question?
That's what I was trying to say, to put it in the link.
Yeah, there you go, in the chat.
Yeah.
Yeah, just make sure that you click on the link before I'm done, or it'll go away. I also wanted to share a couple other links to get back to radishes for a second, because most of the time people just crunch on radishes, or they like chop them up and put them in salads, and they don't think that much about it otherwise. But my favorite way of eating radishes is actually by fermenting them. So I just put a link to an easy fermented radish recipe. Fermentation is a pretty simple thing to do with your family. Has anybody ever done their own fermentation before? You want to tell me a little bit about it? How do you pronounce your name?
Barrend.
Barrend, okay. You want to tell me about fermentation?
Well, I don't really do the fermentation. It's just my mom makes like kimchi, stuff like that. Yeah. Yeah. She makes sauerkraut.
Cool. Yeah, those are really common types of fermentation too. I do a lot of sauerkraut myself. That's yummy. Cool. And I'll looks like Jaden has something to say too, and then I can talk a little bit about fermentation for a minute. What's up, Jaden?
We make kombuchas out of like apple juice. I think we had a SCOBY. I think it is SCOBY.
Yep. Yeah, SCOBY is how it's bacteria and yeast that live together, and they feed off of usually black tea or green tea, something with a little bit of caffeine, and sugar or honey, some sort of sweetened product that feeds that SCOBY, the bacteria and the yeast, and then it ferments. All these little bubbles come out, and they eat the caffeine and they eat the sugar, and then we drink it and we get all of their benefits. They're beneficial microbes that help our digestive health and our mental health. They help our state of our happiness and our bellies and our brains. It's pretty cool. And sauerkraut, other types of fermented things do that too. Sauerkraut, fermented radishes, kimchi. There's so many types of, you can it's called lacto fermentation. So you can follow the process of lacto fermentation add a little bit of salt to various kinds of vegetables, and sometimes people add like chili powder. Kimchi is usually really spicy. With my radishes, I like to add garlic, and garlic helps as a preservative, so you don't get other like funky things growing in there. But basically, it's just the salt that you add when you're fermenting vegetables pulls all of the water out, the natural water that makes up these vegetables. They're like more water than anything else, just kind of like humans are more water than anything else. The salt pulls out all of that water, and then it also the salt helps to preserve the water too, so other bacteria and mold or fungus doesn't take over. And then this beneficial bacteria, this lactobacillus bacteria that you also will find in yogurt, will consume consume that and ferment the radishes and the cabbage and whatever else you might be fermenting. And oh, I see Liv said some things. Yeah, you have a lot of kombucha. I love kombucha. I do it too. And then our question, are chickpeas related to mustard and radishes because their seeds look kind of similar? So chickpeas, I'm not sure how closely related they are. I think, so chickpeas are a legume. They are, let's see what their Latin name is. Chickpeas. Come on, Wikipedia, what you got? Their scientific name is Cicer eritinum. They are in the, so they're in they're legumes, they're in the bean family, which is Fabaceae. I'm gonna look into that a little bit longer because I know that I know what the bean family is, and I know what the mustard or radish family is. That's the Brassicaceae and Fabaceae, but I don't know how closely linked they are, above that in the classification and evolution. But I can look into that, and we'll do pretty soon. I'll just cover a bean or a pea. I'll do something in the legume family, and we can dive into that a little bit more. We got some questions here. Yeah?
I thought a radish was in the root family.
In the root family?
Because it's a root, kind of.
So radishes, most of the time when we think of radishes, we think of the root, right? But a root doesn't make it, the root isn't its family. It's just the part of the plant that we're eating, right? So you have roots, and then you have stems, and you have leaves, and you have seeds, and you have flowers, and fruits around the seeds, right? So it's like a classification. It's a part of the plant that we eat. But the family is like, how do we classify various plants in categories of plants that are like it? So radishes are in the Brassica family or Brassicaceae, and other types of plants that are in the Brassica family that are related are like broccoli, kale, like you mentioned, collard greens, turnips, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts. There are so many. The family, the Brassica family, is huge, and it's really pretty amazing. And we eat a lot of vegetables from the Brassica family. Yeah, Jaden, what's your question?
We grown wild radish, and it grown fast. Is that old radishes is that old radishes, or is that just the one we had?
Is it all radishes that taste that good?
Well, do they grow that fast?
Oh, do they grow that fast? Yeah, so that's one of the reasons that I love them so much, and why I wanted to talk about them today, is because they're really, really easy to grow, and they grow really fast. So I planted radishes in my garden maybe 2 weeks ago, and they're already like about this big, which is pretty good. That they grow really fast. They're bigger than any of the other seeds that I've already planted. And I'm going to show you, so there's like lots of different kinds of radishes. I'm going to show you a couple that I think are that are some of my favorite, that are really pretty. So a type of radish that people really love, that's like very popular in farmers markets and stuff, is this one. It's called the watermelon radish. So it's green on the outside and it's pink on the inside, like a watermelon. It's beautiful. And they're really super yummy. They're round. They're usually like little spheres, little balls. And I'm going to show you another one that I love that's really, really popular, especially in like Asian cuisine, but it's popular in the US too. now, and it's used for various reasons. It's really yummy. It's usually really, really long, sometimes like 2 feet long, and it's called the daikon. So this is the daikon radish. These aren't 2 feet long, but you can see, well, I guess maybe not a very great, you can't really tell how big they are because there's nothing to compare them to, but these daikon radishes are white. They're usually very, very long, and sometimes farmers actually use them. They plant them as what's called a cover crop to grow way down in the soil and break up soil that is really hard or compacted. It's something that helps to break up soil so that you can plant other things that need more oxygen and more space for their roots to grow. So daikon radishes are useful as food. They're useful to feed humans and animals, and they're useful to help build and break up soil. So I have another couple minutes if we have any more questions. I see a comment, we love chickpeas. I agree. I also love chickpeas. I eat them like all the time. Jaden, you have a question?
Yes, the watermelon one. That one, if it was a little bit bigger, I wouldn't be able to tell the difference from a watermelon. And you said that the radishes were white. Does that have to do with like the soil or why it helps?
So the different colors don't have to do with the soil. It has to do with the variety of radish, and the color comes from various forms of chemicals that are good for us. Most of which are called anthocyanins. So I don't remember if you were in our lesson the other day, but that word anthocyanin, it's a word that means, so cyan is a word that means blue. I think, and usually things that are like red or purple or blue have a lot of these rich anthocyanins in them. They're really good for us in our bodies, and they protect us against disease. So the white ones, I'm not so sure what chemicals are in them or aren't in them that are in the ones that are really vibrant and pink. But I can look into that a little bit too. Adair, you have a question?
Yeah, we might be growing them. Should they rather be in the sun or shade?
That's a good question. So they're pretty easy to grow. They definitely like sun more than shade. Most of our vegetables that we enjoy commonly really like to be in the sun, which is why a lot of times farms don't have any trees on them. So it's something that we can put anywhere that we have sun or at least partial, like half a day's sun. They'll do much better in full sunlight, but they also have to stay watered, well watered. And they don't mind really sand. They probably like sand more than clay because the roots have the ability to push the sand out of the way easier.
Sweet dreams.
It'll be good for that and sun. So it'll be good.
Anybody else? Cool. I think I'm gonna call it for the day. Make sure if you want to save the links that I put in the chat window, you open them up maybe in your web browser, or if you know how to take a screenshot, you can take a screenshot. I will link to them in on my Facebook wall too when I post this, and I can put one more up here. There's another article that I looked up that's like 30 ways to make radishes into cool things that you never thought about. That kind of thing. Bloop. Oh, and there's one more picture I forgot to show you. It's super cool. Oh man. So I have to show this to you. So right before Christmas, every year in Oaxaca, Mexico, there's a group of people that does this thing called Noche de los Rábanos, and rábano means radish in Spanish. And these group of people take these giant radishes and they make sculptures out of them and it's amazing. I can't believe I forgot to share it with you. So here is a picture of one of these crazy sculptures that the people make in Oaxaca, Mexico, right before Christmas every year as part of their like various celebrations. If you look up this Noche de los Rábanos, you can look up all sorts of pictures of what they look like. And maybe if you grow your own radishes, you can make your own radish sculptures. And then I really want to see them because I think that would be super cool. So that's all I got for today. I'm about to run out of time in this Zoom call. But it's good to see all of you. Sorry, I know we have more questions, but I'm running out of time. All right, it might cut us off. What's your question? I can't hear you. What's your question?
It sounds like your name, Raphanus.
Oh, yeah, it does. Rabano.
Yeah.
Maybe that's one of my many nicknames.
Maybe that's for rabbit. Radish.
Yeah, you could just call me Radish.
Okay.
Radish. It's good to see you all. Hopefully I'll see you tomorrow. I'm not sure what plant we're gonna do yet, but I'm gonna try to come up with a good one. Maybe it'll be a bean, so we can learn more about beans. All right.
Chippy.
Good to see you all. Have a good day.